Hello, Stepan here. I finally have a game. 2500. Okay, I'm playing F-Dune. I lost to him once. He played that perfect game in the exchange Caro-Kann. Let's see what he does this time. So I've finally crossed 2300. Let's not lose this game. Okay, I'm still going to allow the Nimzo. I don't care. And I'll still play the Queen C2 Nimzo because that's not my mainline repertoire anymore. I'm not gonna be playing my mainline stuff in these games. I hope that's understandable. I actually lost to him twice. Joined 6 months ago. Okay, so A3. Now with B6, this time I am gonna go bishop G5. In the last game, I played E3. Now I'm gonna go bishop G5. I had a brief look at this line. Why didn't I look at bishop A6? Why am I confused already? I may be mixing some lines up. So if E3, knight E4, bishop D8, knight C3, BC3, or bishop C7? Why am I confused? Okay, I'm playing E3. Okay, I'm confused. I'm definitely confused. So knight F3, knight E4, bishop D8, knight C3. Can I play bishop C7? Probably. Okay, I'll just keep developing. I don't want to play bishop D3 yet. Okay, now I play bishop D3. Maybe this is still theory, I don't know. So I'll just castle. F-Dune, from what I learned after our last game, is a national master and a chessable author. So let's see, am I hanging anything on c4? So takes, e takes, d5 or b5 seems scary. Is there any point to playing b3 though? I doubt it. Okay, concentrate. Well, I can play b3 later after b5 or d5. So for now, I want to put my rook opposite my opponent's queen. If I go queen c2, my opponent plays h6. I also want to go rook ac1 so that I can move my queen away. So rook ac1, cd, ed, b5, b3, bc, bc, d5. I do have c5. So I'm going to play rook ac1 to make sure I can retreat my bishop and set up a battery with the queen. If takes, takes, bishop takes, b5, I get my pawn back. That's not a big deal. This way I'm preventing bishop takes c4 after cd, ed. I may actually be able to recapture with the knight. So cd, knight d, bishop c4, d5 or b5. Let's say queen b3. And then I'm also on e6. and in some lines that could be scary. So rook takes, okay, sorry, pawn takes, rook takes. Okay, do I take with the pawn or with the knight? Because if I take with the pawn, I'll have an IQP. If I take with the knight, I won't. So knight d4. Well, I can also play queen d4. And I'm on the d6 pawn. Then my opponent plays knight c5. And then can I go bishop b1 followed by... Wait, if I play queen takes and my opponent plays e5, then queen h4 seems really good, because on e4 I can just take. So queen takes, knight c5, bishop b1. There is knight b3, winning the c pawn in some cases. Although if knight c5 I can play bishop takes f6. Yeah, okay, nice. I'm taking with the queen. My opponent doesn't have a dark squared bishop, so this makes sense to me. If knight c5, then bishop f6. And on bishop f6, gf6, I don't have queen h4, but I may have bishop h7 with an easy draw. So knight c5, bishop f6, gf6, bishop h7, king h7, queen h4, check, king g7, queen g4, that's a draw. I'm not sure I want to draw there if my opponent plays knight c5. On the other hand, how does my opponent defend the d-pawn? Because I am going to go rook fd1. Okay, I was thinking bishop f6. If gf6, well, if queen f6, then I take. And have to play bishop e2. If gf6, then maybe bishop h7. Okay, let's not think too much here. Okay, queen takes. I don't think I can take on d6 because I lose my bishop. So if queen d6, then rook d8. So I'm going to ruin my opponent's structure. And I'm going to go... Well, bishop e2 leaves my bishop pinned, and bishop b1 allows knight b3, and I lose my c-pawn. Unless I play rook d1. No, I lose my c-pawn. I have to play bishop e2. And on knight b3, I have rook c3, and d2 is still covered. I have to watch out. My bishop is hanging to d5, and I cannot take. There's a fly in my room. I'm going crazy. I tried to chase it out, but I couldn't. It's on the window now. I hate having a fly in the house. And it's 7 o'clock in the morning. So the workers next door may start drilling soon. So wait a minute. If I go b4, then my opponent can go knight b3, and on rook c3, dc4 seems really good. So I may have to play rook c2 now. So rook c2, avoiding knight b3 and defending the bishop. And if my opponent takes, I take, and takes, bishop takes. My opponent needs two moves, b5 and moving the knight. No, I have time. So rook c2, if dc, then bishop c. And if, let's say, knight b3, I can take. If knight d3, I can take. So nothing can cover the c1 square. And if, let's say, knight a4, then rook fc1. And if b5, everything's defended. So that seems good. Let's go rook c2. If my opponent moves the knight now, I can take on d5, and my bishop on e2 is defended. b4 would have made very little sense. I also have knight d4 to cover my rook on c2, so I don't think it's such a big deal that my rook is now pinned. Unless my opponent goes knight b3 now. Oof. Knight b3 now. Yeah, there's knight b3 now, preventing rook c1. But hopefully the endgame a pawn down isn't losing. I'll have to go knight d4. And then knight takes, pawn takes. Well, yeah, the endgame could be losing. I'm not good enough to know. Knight b3. Knight b3 is devastating. Why didn't I see knight b3 immediately? What should I have done? Knight d2? Yeah, I should have gone knight d2. But then my bishop isn't defended. Very bad. Very, very bad. So knight b3, knight d2, knight d2, rook d2, dc. My opponent has a passed pawn, yeah. Well, at least I'm coming into d7, hopefully. So knight d2, rook d2, bishop takes, rook takes. I'm not coming into d7, and if pawn takes, I am coming into d7. So yeah, I don't see an alternative. I'm gonna have to do this. I don't see what else I can do. I messed it up. I didn't see knight b3 immediately. However, if my opponent doesn't take with the bishop, I may have b3, although I don't because there is c3. Okay, I'm not gonna despair. I'm gonna be a pawn down, but it's still playable. Still playable. Especially if the d pawn moves. The construction guys are getting stuff out of their vans, so hopefully I get some more time before the drilling starts. Without the bishops on the board, I'll have a reasonable endgame with good drawing chances. But if my opponent never takes DC, but keeps taking with the pieces, then without this passed pawn on the c-file, it's going to be much harder to win. So I assume DC is going to be played at some point. But if DC is played before bishop takes, then the bishop's always pinned. But I have to watch out for c3, bishop a6, c2 followed by rook c1. So, but I'll have a retreat with bishop d3, so that seems okay. Someone said yesterday, when I said I have no more coffee, it's not the coffee, your cups are too small. I thought that was funny, but I only drink espresso, so I can only make a certain amount. I don't drink those. Okay, yeah, bishop takes. Now I have to take this. I'm assuming rook takes, otherwise rook d7. I hate those big coffees and like what you get in Starbucks. You get 1 liter of some sugary, disgusting fluid called cinnamon bun, fruity, loopy M&M slurry slushy. I hate that. Give me coffee. Give me coffee that's just normal coffee. I don't want any of that crap inside. Okay, yeah, I was expecting rook takes to prevent counterplay. Okay, do I go rook d1? Rook a1 for a4, a5, or just make Luft first? I think I'll make Luft first. I want to see what my opponent plays. Let's go here now, and I want to go here, 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 and trade off some pawns. If I trade all the pawns and keep 1 pair of rooks on the board, I'm gonna draw this endgame. It's not easy for my opponent to make progress. Trading 1 pair of rooks is gonna mean that it's easier to draw. That being said, my opponent's controlling the only open file and is a pawn up, albeit a double f pawn, but there's a passed pawn on d5, which I'm currently controlling. So when your opponent has an extra pawn, you have to figure out how they are gonna win. In this case, if black wins, it's gonna be with the d pawn. And I'm not too scared of that because my king is close by, both my rooks are blocking the pawn, and there are no infiltration squares. So I don't think this should be losing. I could lose, I could also win, but I think it should be a draw. Of course, black is the one playing for a win, and I'd be ecstatic with a draw. But it's never too late to go on the offensive. So currently I have the option to go rook d4 followed by rook h4. But let's improve the king first. I want my king on f3. Now rook d4 is a bit scarier. Rook d4, my opponent has to, well, mustn't take. Oh, they can take because there will be rook c4 in the end. What I want to do is I want to play e4. For that I need my king on f3. So I want to go rook d4 and e4. This fly is buzzing all over the window. I'm going crazy. I hate flies. Whenever there's a fly in the house, I have to stop whatever I'm doing and just get it out somehow. Otherwise, I cannot concentrate. And I cannot stop the game now. So my plan is rook d4, rook 1 d2. Okay, preventing e4. So let's switch plans. I can never take on c4 because the other rook comes to c4. But I might be able to go rook d4 followed by c3. I'm not sure I want to go h4 either. Because that just prevents me from going rook h4 if I ever get the opportunity to go rook h4. So I think I'll just wait. I want to see what my opponent does. This doesn't necessarily make my king worse. I can always go back to f3. My opponent doesn't have e5 because I just take on d5. I see no easy way for black to make progress without f6, e5, and it's going to be very hard to defend the d-pawn in that case. It's on black to win this game. I don't have to do anything but not lose. I couldn't see a way to get to h4, so I don't see any weaknesses I can target. What I mustn't do is I mustn't go into a king and pawn endgame, because that could be the end. Okay, I don't really mind one rook trade. So let's go king back to f3. I could have gone king d3, but I didn't want to prevent rook d4 in the future. Okay, I don't know, I'll just repeat. Oh, maybe there is e5 if I go king. If I go king e2, there is e5. That's why my opponent played a rook c2. So I cannot go back to e2. So let's go h3. I want to save a tempo for h4. It's not going away. I also want to prevent rook g4. And I need to keep the option to take on d5 if e5 is ever played. I am slowly running out of tempi, so At some point I'm gonna have to go h4, and then at some point I'm gonna have to go king g2. I know I'm playing passively, but I don't see an active plan. I cannot give away the c3 square by playing b3. I cannot allow e5. So I don't really know what to do. So I'll just repeat. A sad endgame, but that's what you get when you're down a pawn. Okay, my opponent's king is coming into e5. Okay, let's just repeat. King e5, king f3. e5 still isn't playable. And if rook c5, e5, then I can take, and on rook takes, I don't have anything, so it is coming, but at least both my rooks are controlling the passed pawn. I'm happy with king e5 because now e5 cannot be played. And I actually have a way in for my king now. If my opponent's king wanders towards the queen side, then I have king f4, king g5, unless my opponent plays f6, but they are gonna play f6. Okay. Well, I don't see another move. I'm gonna have to go king g2. I cannot go king e2 because then d4 happens because my rook is pinned. And if I go king e2 and d4 and takes, then rook takes is check. Okay, so yeah, this could be a problem. I'm running out of moves. So let's say rook d1, rook c2, rook d4, king e5, rook b4. Can my opponent make progress? I don't think so. So this is the only move I can see, so I'm gonna play it. I cannot allow king f3 because I lose. My opponent left the game. Please leave the game so that I can claim victory. I don't know, unless rook c2 is played. What does black do? Maybe d4 now, but that's gonna trade some more pawns. And without this passed pawn, I mean, putting the pawn on the e file. Yeah, okay, so I have to do this. My opponent's gonna wait with the rook along the c file. And then what do I do? I have to take, and there's nothing else. King f1, king f3. Rook d3. Seems okay. King f1, rook c1. King e2, d3 check. Rook d3, rook e1 check. King e1, king d3. Is that a losing king and pawn endgame? It is, because I don't have the opposition. I may be able to go a4. I'm not sure. But I cannot give away the e3 square, and I cannot allow king d3, so I have to go king f1. There are no other moves. That's the only move. Now I'm losing. Yeah, now I'm definitely losing. So, yeah. Is there any way to save this? I cannot go king e1 because rook c1, rook d1, rook d1, king d1, king f3, king d2, king f2, king d3 is completely losing. So this is the only other move I can see, but now rook c2 wins and everything wins. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna resign. Congratulations to my opponent. I got very badly outplayed. Let's analyze. Why is the engine on? I don't know why it's sometimes enabled and sometimes not. Let's see. Okay, bishop b7 is the main move, but bishop a6 is also good. Theory. Oh, d5 is played here? Oh, d5 is played here. I didn't even consider that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to look at those lines again. So let's turn on the engine. Equal. Queen d4 was best. Equal. Bishop e2 is best. d5. Yeah, I should have gone knight d4 or knight d2 immediately. This is a huge problem. I completely missed knight b3. And now it's just winning. I had no chance to draw. Okay. Yeah, I was just waiting to lose apparently. He just played very well. I stood no chance. This is lost. So, wow, look at the accuracy scores. Can you guys see this? Let me just adjust this. Sorry about this. Okay. Hopefully you can see it now. Let's do a bit more. Okay, so I had 92% accuracy, 92% in such a bad game. That's just crazy. My opponent had 7 centipawn loss with a 98% accuracy. But this is, how am I supposed to play against this? He's just very good. And congratulations to him. Just won a pawn and outplayed me like a boss. Very nice technique. I mean, not that I was doing something resilient, I was just waiting to lose. Oh, I want revenge against this guy. He beat me 3 times, although I don't remember the first game. I remember this one and the last one. So here, if I immediately defend my bishop and prevent knight b3, what happens on e5? Oh yeah, then I'm threatening knight e7. And that's very good. Wait, how does that solve my problems? Isn't there knight b3 now? Oh, right. There's counterplay with rook d6. Good. Yeah, I mean, this is just a great game. I cannot fight against this. Not that I should have lost a pawn, but this is just... My opponent made 0 inaccuracies, and that's tough, especially when you're a pawn down and someone has excellent technique. Congratulations to Evdune. I hope we meet again soon and that I beat him. Thank you very much. Stay tuned for more chess. Bye-bye.